Guys, Man United is a big mess at the moment, and I'm worried. I'm seriously worried. I don't know if you've seen social media. I don't know if you've seen what Sancho's put out, but Sancho's basically put out a statement saying that Ten Hag is lying. Ten Hag is scapegoating him. He's not basically sort of suggesting maybe he's not being treated fairly by Erik Ten Hag, and there's leaks, there's drama coming out, and a lot of you guys are saying, Alice, what are you talking about? What did Ten Hag say on Sancho? What did Sancho say on Ten Hag? Well, I'm going to get that up right now, but this could be the end of Jadon Sancho's career at United. When Ronaldo did stuff like this, he didn't, Ten Hag didn't take it lightly. This could be the end of Jadon Sancho at Manchester United. So it's all started from this. So it came out of nowhere from Erik Ten Hag that Jadon Sancho was out based on his performances and training. We didn't select him. He said, you have to reach a level every day at Manchester United. That's why Sancho wasn't selected. So Erik Ten Hag is essentially coming out and saying, look, I'm not selecting Sancho because he's not been good in training and all of that. Now, this isn't the first time there's reports that Sancho's been lazy in training. There's been reports in the past that Sancho wasn't putting enough effort into training. Sancho has been late in training. So this is somewhat believable. However, Jadon Sancho has come out publicly and said that's not true. And the big reason about this and the big thing about this is that Sancho has come out publicly to deny this. The fact that this is being denied publicly by Jadon Sancho means that basically it's now a big mess. It's now an indication that there's problems in the dressing room between Sancho and Ten Hag. There was a feeling that there could be dressing room problems at United. And this is particularly worrying as a Man United fan because I'm thinking, well, actually, maybe there are big problems in the dressing room. Maybe some of the performances as of late is a reflection of dressing room problems. Could Ten Hag be losing the dressing room? Things are going sour inside Man United, and also it's an awful feeling because it really does feel a little bit about like that Rangnick Ollie season. It's all getting really sour. So what did Jadon Sancho say? What has come out? A lot of, and do you know what the worst part about this is? Everyone's saying, I'm backing Sancho, I'm backing Sancho. He's been treated unfairly. Ten Hag plays Antony over him. But then other people are saying, oh, I'm backing Ten Hag. What's Sancho done? He's got a reputation for being late to training. Do you know what the worst thing about this whole scenario is? It's created a divide in the fan base. We've had so many divides in the fan base. The agreement situation caused a divide in the fan base, and now we've got this. It's just created a toxic divide. And Sancho said this. Sancho says, please don't believe everything you read. I will not allow people to saying things that is completely untrue. I have conducted myself in training very well this week. I believe there are other reasons for this matter that I won't go into. I've been a scapegoat for far too long, which isn't fair. All I want to do is play football with a smile on my face, contribute to the team. I respect all decisions that are made by the coaching staff. I play with fantastic players. I'm grateful to do so, which I know every week is a challenge. I will continue to fight for this badge no matter what. But Sancho said, don't believe everything you read. So Sancho's called Ten Hag a liar, and he's saying that I'm being scapegoated. I've always conducted myself well in training. There's other reasons why I haven't been picked. The manager's lying. He's scapegoating me. He's not treating me fairly. Erik Ten Hag Jadon Sancho is saying this on Erik Ten Hag. And what I want to talk about is firstly, the pure fact that Sancho is saying this is an absolute mess. I'm not taking sides. And the reason I'm not taking sides is because we don't know the full story. I don't know who to believe because Antony continually plays over Sancho. And I feel like Sancho has been treated unfairly by Ten Hag at United. He's never been given a run of games. He played really well in pre-season. We've not seen him. He played really well on the right at the end of last season. We've not seen him. Antony plays poor, and we don't see Sancho, and Sancho's not given a run of games. He's not utilised right. It's like Garnacho, Antony, and Rashford. Ten Hag likes will start. And, there have been rumours for a while. We spoke about it in my video earlier today that there was a fallout between Ten Hag and Sancho. And I'm going to get into something I was told earlier that I spoke about in my live stream earlier regarding Ten Hag and Sancho. But in my live stream just before the match, if you watched my live stream just before the match, I said, oh, I've been told that apparently Sancho and Ten Hag had this fallout, but I bet it's a load of rubbish for clicks. I was saying that in my live stream earlier. I was saying it's all a load of rubbish for clicks. What I was told, someone told me that Ten Hag and Sancho had this fallout. We were literally talking about this before the match, and I thought it was all a load of rubbish for clicks. Well, maybe these things that have been said and I've been told on Sancho, maybe there's some truth to this. That Sancho is unhappy with Ten Hag. Because I will tell you something. I will tell you what I know on this story quickly. First of all, I want to just give you my opinion. The fact that it's public is a big mess. This is a big mess. Ten Hag will not like this. Sancho may never play for Manchester United again because you cannot speak out about the manager publicly. I don't care if Ten Hag has treated Sancho badly. I think that Sancho does deserve more minutes. But as a player, you cannot publicly speak out against the manager. This should be solved behind closed doors. 100%. And this is going to create a horrible divide in the fan base because some people are going to be Team Sancho, some people are going to be Team Ten Hag. This is going to create a horrible divide in the fan base, just like the Ronaldo interview. I've already seen people saying, well, Ronaldo and Sancho are both speaking out about Ten Hag. Surely Ten Hag's the problem. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But as Jadon Sancho shouldn't be saying this stuff publicly. This should have been resolved behind closed doors because now it's public. It's a big mess, and Ten Hag might not play Sancho again. And now all the players know about it, and now the players are going to take sides, and it's going to cause a dressing room debacle, and it's going to cause leaks. And Man United's a big fat mess. So first of all, this situation is a mess. Okay. But second of all, I've heard some things the last week that I've chosen to ignore because I thought it was clickbait crap, or I was being told stuff about, about Jadon Sancho being frustrated. He's obviously frustrated that Antony plays over him. There's a whole lot of things to get into on this story. So please do smash the like button, guys. Of course, subscribe down below as well. Killer says, not a big fan of lies, but at the same time, Sancho hasn't been playing well. Obviously, Sancho has to back himself, but the manager has to make decisions. This is a difficult one because at the end of the day, people are taking sides. People are saying, oh, I'm Team Sancho, I'm Team Ten Hag. And I think it's incredibly difficult to take sides on a situation where we don't know what's happened. I don't know who to believe. I don't know who's lying. Because Jadon Sancho, and I love Jadon Sancho, but Jadon Sancho does have a reputation of being late for training. This isn't the first or second time there's been reports coming out that Jadon Sancho was late for training or Jadon Sancho wasn't trying hard enough in training. We've had one or two disciplinary issues. Gareth Southgate had a disciplinary issue of Sancho in training and him not working hard enough. So this isn't the first time. Do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, Sancho, I thought originally was treated quite well by Ten Hag. Ten Hag knew that Sancho had some personal problems going on. Ten Hag knew that Sancho had some mental health issues going on, and Ten Hag gave Sancho a good 3-month break. He was paid 375k a week to clear his head and have a break from football, and Ten Hag treated him well. However, Sancho had a good pre-season. Antony wasn't great. Antony continually plays. Now, there were reports and rumours that Sancho was getting annoyed that Antony was playing week in, week out, and all of that as well. But at the end of the day, this is a big problem because Sancho's a great player. I love Sancho. I am one of Sancho's biggest admirers, but he's not been good enough at United. And I agree that I don't think he's been given a big run of games. I agree that sometimes I don't understand why Antony sometimes starts over him. But I personally say you can't publicly call the manager a liar. When Eric Bailly did this, he's never played for United again, and Ten Hag's trying to terminate his contract. And Eric Bailly called Ragnick a liar a year and a half ago. And it feels like when things are bad at United, they get bad. It's drama FC. As soon as something's bad at United, it gets bad. It's like we can't just have one normal day. If we lose, if a leak comes out, it gets worse and worse and worse. This Sancho situation, the fact that he's come out publicly and called Ten Hag a liar, it's now just creating a mess. If this happens behind closed doors, it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Well, I'm not saying it's fine to fall out, but there's obviously something going on at Manchester United, and now it's public. Ten Hag's called Sancho a liar. Sancho's called Ten Hag a liar. Ten Hag claimed that Sancho isn't working hard in training. It now creates this divide in the fan base because it's like, okay, all of that. I will say one thing. Erik Ten Hag should have never called Sancho out publicly. Erik Ten Hag and Sancho are both in the wrong here. And why they're both in the wrong is Ten Hag should have never said, I didn't pick Sancho because he's not been working hard enough in training. All that does is invite unnecessary hate on Sancho. And Sancho doesn't deserve that unnecessary hate. Sancho's had a poor season. Sancho's had to deal with a lot. Erik Ten Hag should not be calling out Jadon Sancho publicly because now there's going to be loads of unnecessary hate on Jadon Sancho. He shouldn't have gone and done an interview and said he didn't pick Sancho because he wasn't training hard enough. He just should have ignored the question or just said he was ill or just said there was an injury or something. He should have just lied. He shouldn't have come out saying, I didn't pick Jadon Sancho because he wasn't training hard enough. I didn't pick Sancho because he wasn't doing well in training, because Ten Hag saying that was wrong. Ten Hag should have ignored that. Ten Hag should have dealt with that question better, because that invited unnecessary hate on Sancho. But Sancho, on the same hand, shouldn't come out with a statement calling Ten Hag a liar. Ten Hag and Sancho should have kept whatever's going on behind closed doors. But the problem with this now is it now shows there's a problem at United. That now shows there's a big problem at United and that maybe there's control being lost by the manager. Now, Erik Ten Hag had this situation with Ronaldo. Ronaldo was kicked out. It was dealt with it. Erik Ten Hag won back the dressing room. But why I don't like this, and what makes me annoyed about it, is it's just created this toxic mood. It's just causing problems. You know, now we've got the Sancho situation. We had the Ronaldo situation. We've had this whole takeover loom. We've had this Grima situation that's created a horrible divide in the fan base. And now we've got the Sancho situation. It creates toxicity. It's going to create leaks. We've got an international break where we know there's going to be leaks. And if Sancho's falling out with Ten Hag, there could be a dressing room divide. And when there was last a dressing room divide, we finished 7th. If there's a dressing room divide, we finish 6th, we finish 7th. You know, the Man United dressing room is full of so many egos, so many problems. We get a manager in that I thought has solved the dressing room issues. There's something going on with Sancho. The players are going to take sides. Some players might want the manager out. If the players turn on the manager, it gets toxic. I'm not here to turn on Ten Hag because at the end of the day, I like Jadon Sancho, but he's not been good enough. You know, at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't matter if we get rid of Ten Hag and brought in Pep, or we got rid of Ten Hag and we brought in Deserve. We still have the same issues. We can all agree the biggest issues at Manchester United is the ownership. The biggest issues at Manchester United is the board. The biggest issues at Manchester United are those that are higher up. But Sancho's not been good enough at United these last 2 seasons. And I love Sancho. I'm a big fan of him, but he's not. So if we had to get rid of one, I would get rid of Sancho and not Ten Hag. But I'm not taking sides because we don't know what's gone on. We don't know who to believe. I have sympathy with Sancho because I think that he's not had enough chances and Ten Hag's not given him a run of games. But I don't think Sancho's done enough to, you know, be super angry about it, because it's like, yeah, I think that Ten Hag should give Sancho more of a chance. And I feel like, you know, Sancho might have been hard done by Ten Hag. But at the same time, it's not like Sancho's been so unbelievably good that he deserves to play week in, week out, and that he's the best player. He's been inconsistent. There was a time last year where Sancho was getting minutes, and we were just saying, well, we need to be bringing on Garnacho over Jadon Sancho. Garnacho's been miles better than Jadon Sancho when he had the opportunity, and that's true. And maybe Ten Hag doesn't rate Sancho. Maybe Ten Hag doesn't rate Sancho because he wanted him sold, and the United Muppeteers came out with something that we're going to get into, that he wanted Jadon Sancho sold. We've got a bit of inside information as well, but the situation is toxic. The situation is a mess. The situation indicates there's dressing room issues. The situation indicates there could be big problems. And he had issues at Dortmund. And this is why I don't know who to believe, because I think that Sancho has reasons to be frustrated with Ten Hag, because as I've said, I think Sancho's deserved more minutes. I don't get why Anthony is like favoritism. I get that. But Sancho had problems at Dortmund with being late, with attitude, with training. Sancho had problems before Ten Hag with England, all of that as well. You know, for me, they were both in the wrong, because Ten Hag shouldn't have publicly called out Sancho, and Sancho shouldn't have publicly called Ten Hag a liar. And now Sancho's publicly called Ten Hag a liar. You know, it's now a big mess. And technically, Erik Ten Hag sparked this response. Erik Ten Hag shouldn't have said that publicly in the first place, because it invites hate on Sancho. But it's now a mess, because I'm saying this now, and this is why it's a big mess. The fact that this is public, people, the fact that this is public knowledge, the fact that Sancho has called Ten Hag out publicly, I think he's done at United. I think he's absolutely done. I think he's absolutely finished at United, because the last time Ten Hag got called out publicly, did you see what happened as well? The last time Ten Hag got called out publicly by Ronaldo, and Ronaldo was the best player in the world. Sancho ain't Ronaldo. Sancho isn't as good as Ronaldo. And if Ten Hag was willing to do that to Ronaldo, I don't know what he'll do to Sancho. Ten Hag wants Eric Bailly's contract terminated because of the comments he made about Rangnick. That's not even Ten Hag as well, you know? People say things about Sancho saying, look, I've read some things. United Cynical said the thing is I believe Sancho, Ten Hag's always treated Sancho unfairly in comparison to others. Always first you come off, never gets consecutive starts when performing. He evidently doesn't like him. A lot of people are saying I believe Sancho, Ten Hag's treated him unfairly. And I have to say, Liez, I said this to that. He said, I'll be so real. Sancho isn't given as much leniency with his performance as our other wingers, but his performances are nothing to write home about. He doesn't have enough credit in the bank to put a statement out like that. And it's true. I think Sancho is treated way worse than our other wingers, but it's not like Sancho's fantastic when he played. You know, Sancho feels like he's being scapegoated, and that is because Anthony's poor, he's dropped. So Anthony's poor, he's not dropped. Rashford's poor, he's not dropped. Sancho's poor, he is dropped. And do you know what this reminds me of? Garnacho's brother's statement. Do you remember when Garnacho's brother put out a tweet? Garnacho's brother put out a weird tweet saying, you know, some people are dropped, some people aren't dropped. You know, I can't remember what it is, but Garnacho's brother put out a weird tweet. Garnacho brother. Let me see if I can find this, guys, for you. Garnacho's brother put out some weird post basically saying something about the manager having favourites, and that actually, you know, some players will always play if they're good, but some players can have one bad game and they never play again, or something like that as well. But Garnacho's brother said a few weird things on Ten Hag as well. So if anyone knows what that tweet said, and if I can find Garnacho's brother's tweet, I'll get that up, because Garnacho's brother said some things, and you know, Garnacho's brother hinted that there was a problem, maybe behind closed doors, to do with Ten Hag as well. I can't remember 100% what he said, but he said something about, I know who starts or not. You know, Garnacho's brother starts or something. Did anyone else remember that comment, or maybe that was just me? But let me see. I want to see if I can find that. But my bloody Twitter's not working, so I'll get that quickly up for you as well. Erik Ten Hag losing the team, that's not good. This is what I'm worried about. Could Ten Hag be leaving the team as well? Should be zero blame for Ten Hag. We have zero knowledge of training. Why are we forgetting what Ten Hag demands standards? Not just that, Anthony plays because he does more on and off the pitch. And you know what? Astro makes a good point. I'm not taking sides, because the reason I'm not taking sides is because we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We don't have a clue what goes on behind closed doors. There's reports before in the past from England, from Dortmund, from Man United under previous managers that Sancho is lazy in training. Sancho doesn't put 100% work in training. Erik Ten Hag demands high standards from players, 100%. And if he believes Sancho isn't doing enough, maybe Sancho isn't doing enough. There's absolute possibility in that. We can also look at it and go, Anthony has a bad performance, he'll play again. Rashford has a bad performance, he'll play again. Sancho has a bad performance, we won't see him again. That's what we can also say. There are two perspectives from this, but at the end of the day, they're both in the wrong, because Ten Hag shouldn't have publicly said that Sancho's been bad in training, because it invites hate, and Sancho shouldn't be publicly doing a statement. But Garnacho's brother said something about, I know a story about who starts or not. And I just want to try and remember what Garnacho said as well. This is it. This is what Garnacho's brother said. And this is now making me think about the Jadon Sancho situation. I don't know if this is just me, but Garnacho's brother said this. Garnacho's brother randomly put out a cryptic tweet about 2 weeks ago, and he said, if you knew all the things that I know, you'd understand more about who starts and who doesn't. And he wrote that Friday night before deleting it. And Garnacho's brother hinted at something that, you know, certain players will always start and certain players won't start even if they're good. You know, there was a leak that came out as well saying that certain Man United players could be bad and consistently bad, but they will always start. But if you have a game and you are poor, you won't start. But this tweet from Garnacho's brother saying, if you knew the things I do, you'd understand who starts or not. I think that was the first indication there could be a dressing room leak. It could be a dressing room problem. Garnacho's brother put out some stuff, you know, and that came from Garnacho's brother. He's just a kid. Garnacho's just a kid. Garnacho's probably told his brother some stuff. His brother's put some stuff out. You know, there has been rumours and indications that there have been dressing room problems at United. There's frustration that these players will consistently start even if they're poor as well, and that Ten Hag has favoritism. And I get that. And I get that Sancho has frustration. But if Sancho played for United and he was amazing and he never played, it would be a disgrace from Ten Hag. Sancho had a good pre-season. Sancho had a good couple of games at the end of the season. But Sancho's performances haven't been like 10 out of 10. You were absolutely fantastic. You deserve to, you know, you deserve to start week in, week out. But Anthony's performances have been poor and he's not been dropped. And if Sancho put in Anthony's performances, you know he'd be dropped. But at the end of the day, Sancho is on 350 grand a week. He's in his third year at United and he hasn't done enough. I love Sancho. I think he's a good player, but he hasn't done enough. Do you know what I mean? And he shouldn't be making statements against the manager after the defeat today. He should be keeping that quiet. I'm always here to support Sancho. I know he's had some problems off the pitch. I know he's had some mental health problems. I agree that maybe he's not been treated as fairly as other players, but he's not been good enough at United. It's not like he's been amazing when he's played. Yes, he deserves more chances, but he's not taken the few chances that he's had. Sometimes he has, and sometimes he deserves more chances, but you cannot publicly call out the manager. And, you know, this is a repetitive problem for Sancho. I don't know who to believe. I'm not turning on Sancho and I'm not turning on Ten Hag. I'm hoping that this gets resolved in the international break, but this isn't the first time we've had stories like this. Southgate said that Sancho's lack of playing time was down to training form. Erik Ten Hag is now saying that Sancho's not playing because of training form. There's a lot of if, buts and maybes around the situation. Thank you very much for the super chat. Sorry, I've just seen it now. Alice, Ten Hag's got favourites, period. I don't disagree with that. I think Antony is Ten Hag's 80 million signing, so Antony's going to continually play Ten Hag until it works. You know, clearly Erik Ten Hag absolutely loves Antony. You know, and I think that's, and I said this earlier. I said that, you know, Rashford will have a bad game, he won't be dropped. Garnacho can have a bad game, he will still get minutes. Antony will have a bad game, he won't be dropped. Antony, Garnacho, and Rashford will always play. You know that Antony, Garnacho, Rashford, it doesn't matter if they're poor, they will get minutes. With Sancho, you just don't know where his minutes are going to come from. I absolutely agree. When I watch Jadon Sancho, he doesn't get that same treatment. There is favoritism there as well. Alex Core says, I'm turning on Ten Hag. I don't think anyone should be turning on Ten Hag as well. Sancho's been crap, took him out of the firing line last season, and how he repays him. Sancho needs selling. Ten Hag wanted Sancho sold. A lot of people forget this. Ten Hag wanted Sancho sold this summer. The board wouldn't let it happen, you know. But this is the thing. All this does is just create a toxic divide in the fan base. All this does is create a mess. We're going on the international break, and there's a big mess, and now there's a big divide in the fan base. Because I go on Twitter now, and some people will be Ten Hag out, and some people will want Sancho gone. All this has done is create a big divide. This should be kept behind closed doors. This 100% should be kept behind closed doors. 100%. And, you know, Sancho has now spoken out, essentially called Ten Hag a liar, put out a statement, and it's just causing unnecessary problems, unnecessary drama at United, because now Ten Hag has to act. And when we've seen the way that Ten Hag's acted in the past, you might see Jadon Sancho leave in January. You might see Jadon Sancho not play football again until January. You know, there's been Sancho's called him out. You know, there's been a fallout. Sancho's essentially called Ten Hag a liar and says he's being scapegoated. You know, this is a problem. This is a problem as well. Alice, don't react to everything, Grub. I'm just reading out the news as well. Scott says Sancho hasn't had a good game for the club yet. I mean, he has had good games as well. I think Antony did play well today as well. Antony, you know, people will hate on Antony, and people are desperate to hate on Antony. And a lot of the people that want Ten Hag gone is because they don't like Antony. But Antony, I thought Antony was good today as well. I can't see United getting rid of Ten Hag come end of the season. I can see United getting rid of Ten Hag end of the season. Look. Do you know what's annoying about the situation? Let's have a little chat here, because I want to get into a few stories about the situation, some things I've heard. What's annoying about the situation is, you know, the discussion should be really on the Glazers. The focus should be on the fact that we went into that Arsenal game with Johnny Evans and Maguire playing. Johnny Evans and Maguire playing away at the Emirates. That's unacceptable. We've had a good game versus Arsenal, and that's unacceptable. You know, the form and the focus should be on the Glazers hanging Ten Hag out to dry. The focus is now on, is Ten Hag losing the dressing room? There's a fallout with Sancho. Should Ten Hag go? Is Ten Hag out of his depth? That shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be the fact that if Ten Hag was backed, Sancho would have been sold. If Ten Hag was backed, Maguire would have been sold and Todibo would have been brought in. If Ten Hag was backed, we'd had Amrabat and Todibo weeks ago, Sancho would have been sold and a new attacker would have come in. That's what the focus should be. The focus should be, if Ten Hag was backed, a new attacker would be coming in. That should be the focus, because Ten Hag wanted Sancho gone. He wanted Maguire gone. He wanted Todibo. He wanted another attacker, and he wanted Amrabat earlier. If that was the case, if Ten Hag was backed, if he had owners that gave the manager what they wanted, we wouldn't be in this situation as well. You know, for me, you know, Rangnick, Southgate have said stuff like this on Sancho. There could be some truth in it. Ten Hag shouldn't have said it publicly. There's clearly a problem at United, and it's clearly a big mess. But the biggest problem for me is, you know, I think these players can't handle a proper manager. I think the players at United are soft. They always make excuses. And, you know, this isn't the first time we've heard reports on Sancho's lack of training. This isn't the first time. I think that Sancho has been treated poorly. But at the same time, I'm fed up. I don't think that this should be a public squabble. It creates a mess. I think, you know what? Maybe Ten Hag did want Sancho sold, and that was a fact. I'm going to get into this story. And Muppeteer said it before this all came out. Ten Hag wanted Sancho sold. The board didn't, okay? Because the board said they couldn't get a replacement. Ten Hag should have had Amrabat, Todibo, and a new attacker for that Arsenal game. And if he had that, it would have been a completely different game versus Arsenal. I've got loads of super chats to catch up on one set, so I do apologise for the delay. Ten Hag should banish Sancho just based on these comments alone. Sir Alex Ferguson wouldn't tolerate this. Neither should he, says Jerry. Guys, do you think Ten Hag should punish Sancho big time? Because if Ronaldo got banished, I think that Sancho could be in a lot of trouble. You know, Bailly got banished. Bailly, when he called out Rangnick, got banished. I think that Sancho is going to be banished. Do you think Sancho should be banished? Let me know in the chat. Thanks for the super chat, Obey. Nick says Sancho might have had bad games, and you can say Sancho shouldn't say anything in a statement, but Ten Hag should have dealt with him privately, not publicly. And Nick, you're absolutely spot on. They're both in the wrong. I'm not taking sides in this situation. Ten Hag shouldn't have said publicly that Sancho's not been training well, but at the same time, Sancho shouldn't have said something publicly back. Ten Hag shouldn't have, said something publicly. I think they're both in the wrong as well. We've got another super chat coming in. Thank you very much, Obey. He says Premiership level players don't have their agent on their Twitter bio. Harry Maguire. Does Harry Maguire have his agent on his Twitter bio? That is quite tragic as well. Sancho on huge wages, doesn't want to give 100%. I think now we've got to get rid of Sancho. Honestly, I love Jadon Sancho. You know me. I've been patient with Sancho. I've heard about things that some of you guys haven't heard about from people behind the scenes. There's been some mental health issues and stuff, and I am with Sancho. But for me, when you're on 300 grand a week, when you're clearly not rated by the manager, when there's clearly issues going on between you and the manager, I think it's time for him to be sold in January and someone brought in. And the worst part about this situation, and the worst part about this whole Jadon Sancho situation is this has to come out 2 days after the transfer window closes. If this comes out and the transfer window is right around the corner, okay, it's easier to deal with. If this comes out and the transfer window is around the corner, it's so much easier to deal with. But this has come out, and essentially, well, there's no transfer window to kind of sort this out and get it sold. There's none of that stuff. This has come out after a loss, so we all feel crap after the Arsenal loss, and this coming out increases negativity because it makes it public. But it's also like if Ten Hag wants Sancho sold, essentially we might have a Jadon Sancho that Ten Hag ignores till December. So we might be playing at Sancho for another 3.5 months for Ten Hag to sell him come January. We might have Sancho in and around the squad to be sold in January by United. Now, hopefully, because he's not gone on Piers Morgan or gone to the extent of Ronaldo, hopefully this gets resolved. Things like this happen. It can be resolved. I remember Xhaka got stripped of captaincy, had a big battle under Arteta, it got solved. I trust Ten Hag's man management skills. I think Ten Hag is a good man manager and all of this. And I think that this will be resolved. But if this happened under Fergie, I don't think Sancho would play again. Sancho, is on 300 grand a week. I think this whole situation is, if you're on 300 grand a week, I know that Ten Hag shouldn't have made those comments about you, and I get you're frustrated, but you have to keep this private. You've made this public, which is going to create negativity. It's going to be spoken about the next 2 weeks. Everyone at Man United is going to know there's going to be an issue between you and Ten Hag. It's going to cause a dressing room problem. It's going to cause issues. Now we might have a Sancho that's never playing again, so we're paying a guy 300k a week to never play again. But you know what? What you can question about Sancho is his work rate, and that's what's being questioned. Anthony, you can never question Anthony's work rate. He gives 100%. And in all honesty, I don't know who to believe. I'm not interested in taking sides, but this is the 3rd or 4th manager that's called out Sancho for being lazy in training. On the pitch, you can see that Anthony always works 10 times unbelievably hard. Anthony is a harder worker than Sancho on the pitch. And that is probably why Ten Hag gives Anthony favoritism treatment over Sancho, because maybe Sancho doesn't work hard enough. Ten Hag demands high standards, and people won't like me for saying this. Ten Hag demands incredibly high standards from his players. Ten Hag is always demanding the highest standards from players. And if they don't do that, Ten Hag says, I drop them, I don't play them. Maybe Ten Hag's favoritism towards Anthony isn't because, isn't because of actually its favoritism. It's because Ten Hag says you have to work incredibly hard in training to play. We know that Ten Hag has high training standards. Maybe the favoritism towards Anthony is because he's not getting enough from Sancho. Sancho says he's lying. Sancho says he is working hard. But when Southgate and Rangnick and all said that Sancho didn't work hard enough in training, it's difficult to know who to believe as well. But look, if I was Ten Hag, if I was Sancho, this is what I'd be doing. If I was Sancho, this is what I'd be doing. I'd be calling Ten Hag and I'd be asking him, how can I do better? What do I need to do to be in your plans? I wouldn't be going on Twitter and putting this out. I know Ronaldo's put stuff out about Ten Hag. I know that Ten Hag could be lying, and we don't know the truth. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And Ten Hag shouldn't have said publicly that Sancho's not training hard enough because it's invited unnecessary hate on Sancho. But if I am Jadon Sancho in this situation, I come out and I say to Erik Ten Hag, instead of going on Twitter and moaning, because now the whole world knows about it, the whole world knows there's a problem and you've created a problem and now it's a big mess. Instead of going on Twitter and moaning, if I am Jadon Sancho, I call up Ten Hag and say, I want to know how to be better. I want to know how to be in your plans. I get he's frustrated. He sees Anthony play over him. Maybe Sancho should have had more minutes. But if I am Ten Hag, I go and say, I want to prove you wrong. I want to get back in the team. What do I need to do to get back into the team as well? ICAM says bye Sancho. This could be the end of Sancho. Sean says Sancho's a good player. Ten Hag doesn't know how to get the best out of him. I think Sancho is a good player, and I'd like to see more of Sancho. But for me, yeah. United Red says Sancho's example being sold for overpriced fees. Clubs like Brighton and Dortmund robbing big clubs as well. I mean, look, the worst part about this is just creating a divide in the fan base as well. Because, you know, the whole Man United fan base is so divided at the moment. And that's what I hate. Everything is so toxic. The Greenwood situation caused a divide. There's a big divide on whether we should have signed Mason Mount or not. Some people are saying, oh, no, we shouldn't have signed Mason Mount. Other people are saying, oh, we should have signed Mason Mount. We've had this big Sancho divide. We've had this Greenwood divide. We've had, you know, Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out. We've had an absolutely awful loss today. We've had an absolutely awful loss to I was about to say Brighton. We've had an absolutely awful loss to Arsenal, which has ended in, honestly, a not very nice manner. VAR is the feeding, and then we get this coming out, and it's just more and more negativity at United, more and more uninvited negativity at United, which is I don't like, all this negativity. Andrew says that's it. Sancho's done at United. You know, I think that's the end of Sancho as well. Southgate, Rangnick, and Dortmund all called out Sancho. I mean, this is bad for Sancho. Shall we see what the internet's saying? Let's see what blur. Let's see what the internet's saying on Sancho, because there's a lot of things being said. Let's refresh as well. Apparently, Martinez does not have an injury. He only had pain. He received a blow, but is not injured. So that as well. Leah says, I can't name 5 standout Sancho performances for a player in their third season worth 72 million. It's not worth, you know, being Ten Hag out over this as well. Basically, Man United is a big mess as well. Manager versus player at United as well. Saudi leagues are open for another week. Maybe Sancho will go to Saudi Arabia. I mean, I think Sancho is finished at United. I don't know what you guys are saying. I don't know what everyone else is saying. Of course, Piers Morgan's going to be a knob. Of course, Piers Morgan's going to be an absolute knob about it as well. But Ten Hag dropped Rashford for disciplinary, dropped Garnacho for the same, dropped Ronaldo from the starting 11 for poor performances, dropped Maguire for poor performances, got rid of De Gea for Onana, which is a giant upgrade, dropped Wan-Bissaka for Dalot, and then dropped Dalot for Wan-Bissaka for unwarranted performances, signed Hojlund to start over Martial for performances, just because he sticks with Anthony, who's clearly our best right wing, despite him not being great. Somehow he scapegoated Sancho. The manager has shown time and time again he makes football decisions only. We've only praised him for being ruthless. Why is everyone changing their tune now? And I think Naldo makes a fair point here. I think he makes a fair point, because Sancho, I think Anthony's been poor, and I think Anthony gets a bit more leniency than Sancho. But it's not that Sancho hasn't done enough when he's had an opportunity to prove that he should be playing over this player and that player as well. People are saying Onana needs a replacement. I think there's just so much negativity at the moment. I've seen a lot of Man United fans turning on Onana, saying Onana's a big problem at Man United. And personally, I don't see that. I don't get that. I think Onana could have maybe done a little bit better for the goal. I think we can all speak about this. I think Onana could have done a lot better for the goal, but I don't think Onana's this big problem at United. I think actually he was one of our better players. You know, that first 20 minutes, Onana was the only person that could pass the ball. He's helped us massively in build-up. He's helped us massively in the first phase. The problems versus Arsenal today, I thought, were in the second phase. I thought that's where the problems were versus Arsenal in the second phase and all of that stuff. But a lot of people are, you know, turning on Onana at the moment, it seems, as well. Rufus says Onana needs a replacement. I don't think Onana's a problem at United. Do you guys think Onana's a problem at United as well? Piers Morgan's going to be ringing up Sancho, asking for interviews this, interviews that. He's going to be asking for all of that at the moment as well. Onana made a big mistake to come to this club. And look, it's just so negative. It's just so negative at the moment at Man United. And that's what I hate about the Sancho situation is now I'm seeing loads of people being Ten Hag out, saying that Sancho's treated unfairly, la-di-da, la-di-da. I'm seeing loads of people publicly turn on Ten Hag because of this whole Sancho situation. I'm seeing Ten Hag get loads of stick. I'm seeing everyone's all negative, saying, oh, we should have never signed Mason Mount. Mason Mount didn't play today. Everyone's saying Onana shouldn't have come to this crap club. Onana's the problem. I feel like Manchester United is so negative at the moment. Everything is so negative and horrible at the moment. We've had the Greenwood situation cause a divide. The Ronaldo situation last year caused a divide. The Sancho situation is causing a divide. It's like, can we just get a nice day as a United fan where it's not full of divide this, divide that? Can we just get a day where actually things are behind closed doors. You know, Sancho seems absolutely furious. You know, Sancho's calling Ten Hag a liar, and it's all public, it's all drama. There's going to be leaks coming out the thing is, there's going to be leaks coming out the whole international break. I tell you this now, left, right, and centre, we're going to get leaks coming out the whole international break. We might even get Sancho kicked out of United. And you know what? All I'm going to say is this: Ten Hag shouldn't have publicly said that Sancho was dropped because he was bad in training. However, Ten Hag did publicly say he dropped Garnacho because he was late, and he dropped Rashford because he was late in the pass. Ten Hag likes to name and shame players. Ten Hag is like Fergie. Ten Hag is a ruthless manager. And if you can't, you know, live up to Ten Hag's high standards, you can't be a United player. I love Sancho. I don't know the full story, and I believe there's a lot more to it than him being lazy in training, and I believe that he may have been scapegoated. But if he cannot live up to Ten Hag's high training standards, the fact that Ten Hag demands loads and loads in training, you know, you can't be a United player. And maybe that sounds harsh, but Fergie demanded the most out of people. Fergie had very high standards when he was at Manchester United. Very, very high standards. Alex Ferguson, if you'd done this under Alex Ferguson, you'd be gone. If you were training bad under Alex Ferguson, you'd be gone. And as far as I'm aware, Ten Hag is trying to restore that mentality at Manchester United where, you know, it's like the Ferguson mentality. You give 100% or you're gone. You do this if you're gone. If you can't train as hard as I want you to train, you don't play. And Sancho, what seems, can't be able to report with that. And if he can't, you know, you have to go. And unfortunately, if this was kept behind closed doors, I think it could have been resolved. But the fact that this is public now confirms there's probably a dressing room issue going on at United. The fact that it's public pretty much confirms now there could be a dressing room divide at United. Things could get toxic in the dressing room. The transfer window's shut. You know, it's now Ten Hag's got a big thing to manage. He managed the Ronaldo situation well, he recovered. But this is a big thing because it's not like he can quickly go and get a replacement for Sancho soon. I mean, maybe that's why Pellistri stayed. But you've got Garnacho's brother saying things about this is who starts and this is who doesn't start. It's all a big mess at the moment as well. Arsenal weren't even good. Guys, let me know your thoughts on the Arsenal game because I'm with you. I don't think Arsenal were good. Do you know what the worst part about that Arsenal game is? I don't think Arsenal deserved to win. I don't think Arsenal deserved to win one bit. And I feel horrid today. I feel one of the worst I felt as a Man United fan today because not only did we lose to Arsenal in a game where actually I think we did enough to win versus Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? I thought we played quite well. I thought there were good moments. We lost to Arsenal in the most horrible way where Garnacho's goal was ruled out, you know, and then we just get the Sancho situation. And it is just like a big drag. It just feels like horrible, if you get what I'm saying as well. It just feels horrible because do you know what's brilliant today? Do you know what was brilliant today? Hojlund. Rasmus Hojlund was fantastic today. Rasmus Hojlund showed so many good glimpses. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to talk about Rasmus Hojlund. We're not going to be able to talk about how good Rasmus Hojlund was today because it's being overshadowed by, okay, we were unlucky versus Arsenal VAR. It's being overshadowed by the fact that we lost 3-1 to Arsenal and everyone's being overreactionary and everyone's being dramatic, saying Ten Hag out. It's being overshadowed by the Sancho situation. Do you know what? If we'd have won 2-1 today and that Garnacho winner had stood, I'd be doing a video talking about, boom, 2-1 Arsenal win. Rasmus Hojlund was fantastic today. Maybe Ten Hag would have never made that comment on Sancho and it'd be a good mood. But we'd go into the international break with nearly every single player injured, with an Arsenal loss, with a clear dressing room issue. And it's like, we just had a really good Rasmus Hojlund performance. And we can't talk about that. But I want to show you a few things. There's a few bits of news and pieces that have come out on this story that I want to show you. Because the United Muppeteer said this. The United Muppeteer says, I'm a big fan of Sancho, but a couple things to me are clear. Rashford/Garnacho clearly have the left side nailed down. Erik won't drop Anthony, but we need to talk about him. He's not obviously been good enough. There's no space for Sancho, and I don't see him making it. I've already heard a few times over summer that United had some eyes on some right wingers and have been open to letting Sancho go. Now the window is closed, so it's a bit late, but it can't be ignored. And it's true. Ten Hag wanted Sancho sold in the summer. That is the truth. But United couldn't guarantee a replacement. That's the whole reason Sancho wasn't sold. Ten Hag is not that bothered about Sancho. He wants him sold, but he couldn't sell him because United couldn't guarantee a replacement. For me, we should have just backed Ten Hag. We should have sold Sancho in the summer. We should have brought in a replacement. But unfortunately, the owners didn't want to spend money to bring in a replacement. So we've kept a Sancho at United who isn't happy. Essentially, Erik Ten Hag gave Sancho the green light to go. Erik Ten Hag said that he will use Sancho and he'll obviously want a replacement for him. Sancho's unhappy. He didn't get a move in the January transfer window because the board said to United they wouldn't replace him. And the Muppeteers are right as well. And the United Muppeteers said a few things that I think are interesting as well. He said he'll talk about it later, but the United Muppeteers get inside information on United. And they basically said, now you can't ignore this Sancho situation. And they're absolutely spot on as well. And he said, I'm of the opinion that managers should be allowed to get rid of players in their squad. I supported Jose, who wanted to get rid, with a few fans back Pogba over him. A few fans obviously back Ronaldo over Ten Hag, and a few fans seem to be backing Sancho over Ten Hag. And I just don't think in situations like this, you can take sides. And I think if you have to take a side, I think you have to just back the manager at the end of the day as well. The Ronaldo situation was horrible. If we backed Ten Hag, we'd have Rabiot and Arnautovic. That's on the board. For me, that's on the board as well. We play Stoke City football. I just feel like it's created negativity. So many people are Ten Hag out as well. I think it's more to do with the amount of paid for Sancho and his current wages. For someone on 350k a week, he doesn't offer enough. And this has now created this whole Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out divide in the fan base, which is just not nice as well. Axman says, I'm nervous of centre-back injuries and left-backs. I mean, I feel like everything at United is so negative at the moment as well. Everything is so negative. There's injuries here, injuries there. That Johnny Evans and Maguire are starting at centre-back as well. It's just all horrible as well. Because now some people are saying Ten Hag out, some people are saying Ten Hag in as well. And it's just created this negativity as well. So even some people saying Hojlund wasn't good today as well. Garnacho's erased Sancho, he's spot on. Polistri's also ahead, likely Diallo also. I think the fact that Diallo and Polistri are coming back, you know what? I think it could be the end of Jadon Sancho. I generally believe this could be the end of Jadon Sancho at United. And I will tell you why. We've got Polistri, okay, and we've got Anthony, and we've got Amad Diallo coming back from injury. Erik Ten Hag ended Ronaldo like that. Erik Ten Hag ended Ronaldo quickly. Erik Ten Hag basically gave Bailly and Telles the cut. I don't think the fact that things are already bad between Erik Ten Hag and Sancho, the fact that Erik Ten Hag is not happy with Sancho's work rate, that Sancho is training hard enough, is not playing Sancho is one thing. That now Sancho's called him a liar publicly and say he's being scapegoated. Erik Ten Hag will not deal with that. Erik Ten Hag will not be happy with that in the slightest. And I think that this, for me, I don't think there's a way back for Sancho. I think there is a way back, but I don't think Ten Hag will want. Ten Hag's like Fergie. Ten Hag is ruthless. Ten Hag is Ten Hag. I think for me, this is the end of Sancho at Manchester United as well. Ten Hag isn't perfect, by the way, but, I don't think he's done much wrong on the Sancho thing. If Ten Hag feels that Sancho isn't training hard enough, I don't think he should call him out because it just creates problems. But he has the right to call him out and say, you're not training hard enough. Fergie would do that as well. We need to be less soft. I think the players at United are soft. And I think, you know what? With Ten Hag, and I will back him on this, he's a ruthless manager. You have to give 100%. You have to work hard. And I think some of the players at United are soft. I think some of the players at Man United are pathetic and they cave. And we've seen, the mentality of these players is poor. And I think Ten Hag is probably, if he demands these high standards from Sancho, I'll back Ten Hag on that. If he doesn't think Sancho's doing enough, I'll back Ten Hag on that because Ten Hag demands high standards. Do I think that Sancho should deserve more game time? Yes. Do I think that other players are treated more leniently than Sancho? 100%. But if Sancho is not giving 100%, then, I don't think Ten Hag's done much wrong. Ten Hag is like Fergie. You give 100% or you don't play. High standards because the attitude at United isn't good enough. The mentality of the United players isn't good enough. And Ten Hag wants to demand the very, very most from the player. He wants to demand the most. He wants players that will give 100%, that work hard, that will die on the pitch. He wants a team of leaders, of warriors, of hard workers as well. But my biggest concern is, every single manager we seem to go through is because of dressing room issues. And, for me, we seem to have dressing room issues, fallouts with the managers. And I think we're at the position now where actually I do think the players at United are the biggest problem. I do think, sometimes the players are a big problem. There seems to be dressing room issues. Some of them don't work hard enough. And I just think at the end of the day, this has all been caused by a toxic board. This has all been caused by toxic ownership. This has all been caused by the Glazers completely neglecting the club. How the Glazers have run Man United is an absolute disgrace. Because when the Glazers don't back the manager, when the Glazers don't sell players that the manager wants sold or don't play players that the manager wants in, it creates toxicity because you have players there that might not be wanted. Sancho, from what we're aware of, is not wanted by Erik Ten Hag. So if Sancho's not wanted by Erik Ten Hag, and Ten Hag said, can we sell Sancho? And the board's saying you can't sell Sancho because we can't buy your replacement in time, or we can't afford your replacement. Ten Hag's keeping Sancho, who he doesn't want in his plans, not playing Sancho. Sancho's getting frustrated, and it causes this whole situation as well. Not only have we got an injury situation, but now we've got this whole Sancho situation, and it just creates this kind of toxicity. The elite pundit says some few interesting things, and then I will get into the live chat, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below in the chat. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation down in the chat. I will get into live chat in a second, but the elite pundit said some things. The one thing you should not do, well, that's the last of Sancho at United, is call the manager a liar, saying he's a scapegoat, taking zero accountability. I don't know who to believe. Ten Hag could be lying, but you can't call out the manager publicly. And elite pundit was absolutely spot on. Was saying that he was absolutely spot on when he says that. And Keane has said here, the club is a circus. There is never peacetime. The club is rotten. At the club, from top to bottom, the head of the snake needs to be cut off. Yeah, we need to get the Glazers out. For me, all this toxicity comes from the Glazers, and we need to get the Glazers gone. Please do smash that like button, guys. I'm going to get into a few live chats in a sec. Just taking a pinch of water as well. Chat going berserk over favourites. How many first-team players does Erik realistically even pick? Be real, bro. Erik's Ten Hag's only favourite is Antony. And look, Antony works harder than Sancho for the team. That's one thing we can all agree on. Is Antony good enough to be playing all these minutes and playing a lot? No, I think Antony's had poor performances and he deserves to be dropped. And if Sancho had put in those performances, he would have been dropped. But there's one thing we can agree on, is that, that Antony works harder than Sancho, and that might be why. And there's an interesting report actually that Sancho could have gone to Chelsea, and that was stopped by the board. So maybe there's a bit more going on. Maybe Sancho's annoyed he didn't get a move. But Phil said here, Sancho's been getting tapped up by Chelsea for weeks. My guess is he thought he would leave by the end of the window, and has been lackluster in training as a result, which is true. Basically there's been reports that Sancho has been late to training and he's not been sleeping well, but Phil makes a point here. Sancho thought he was going to go to Chelsea. There was a feeling that Sancho was going to get a move late in the window to Chelsea. And maybe Sancho thought that Chelsea were going to come through, get him instead of Cole Palmer, and that's why he was training badly. Maybe he wasn't trying. Maybe that could be the reason. I don't know. But the interesting thing is, Erik Ten Hag looked at right wingers, and we've been told this by inside sources on the channel. It's been said by the Muppeteers. It's been said by people. This is something that isn't really being reported by the mainstream journalists, that a lot of people don't seem to know. Is essentially Jadon Sancho Ten Hag gave the green light for Jadon Sancho to leave. Erik Ten Hag gave the green light for Jadon Sancho to leave Manchester United. He was totally okay with it. He completely gave the green light. He was like, you know what? If Sancho wants to leave Manchester United, he can leave Manchester United. Here is the green light. Go. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-di-da. And the reason Sancho wasn't sold this summer is not because of any situation. It's because Ten Hag essentially was told, sorry, actually, you know what? We can't bring you a replacement if you sell Sancho. So the reason Sancho wasn't sold is because basically they told Ten Hag, we're not going to get your replacement. You can sell Sancho all you want, but we ain't getting your replacement in. So Ten Hag was like, well, I'm not going to basically keep Sancho if I'm not going to sell Sancho if I've got no replacement. I need the depth. There's Antony, there's Pellistri, there's Ahmad, there's a lot of inexperience. We lack goals in attack. But essentially, Chelsea were looking at Sancho, and Sancho had the possibility of leaving. Sancho knew that Chelsea might make an offer for him, and that Ten Hag would approve it if the right offer came in. Ten Hag would let Sancho go if the right offer came in. Chelsea have been tapping up Sancho for weeks. Chelsea have been speaking to Sancho for weeks, pretty much confirming, their interest in him. Chelsea wanted Sancho. Sancho believed that maybe he'd be leaving United and getting a move to Chelsea in the final week of the transfer window. So maybe Sancho's been training a bit poorly, thinking, I'm going to get my move to Chelsea. I'm going to be out of here. Sancho was open to leaving because he doesn't like how Ten Hag's been treating him. He feels that there's favoritism over Antony. So Jadon Sancho's thinking, okay, well, this whole situation ongoing, this seems like a bit of a situation. La-di-da, la-di-da. I might be going to Chelsea. Obviously, deadline day happens. Sancho doesn't get his move to Chelsea. Frustration. Maybe that's why he's dropped. Sancho, McTominay, two players that were set to leave United on deadline day, both dropped. Maybe Sancho was poor in training because he felt that he was going to leave. But remember, Ten Hag wanted Sancho sold. Ten Hag actually said he'd give the green light for Sancho to be sold if the right offer came in. But the reason Sancho wasn't sold is because the board said to Ten Hag, we can't guarantee you we buy a replacement. you can sell Sancho, but you're not getting replacements. And Ten Hag went, well, I can't sell Sancho if I'm not getting a replacement. So Sancho, who wasn't happy, Ten Hag, who wasn't happy with Sancho, was in a situation where it's not like he could sell Sancho because he wasn't getting a replacement. So because of the Glazers refusing to back Ten Hag, because of the Glazers refusing to sign Todibo and Amrabat 3 weeks ago, back Ten Hag, sell Sancho and bring in another attacker, we've now got this whole unnecessary situation at United. And if our owners were proper owners, we would be in a situation, if our owners were real owners, if our owners were proper owners, we'd be in a situation where actually Jadon Sancho would have been sold in the summer. We would have brought an attacker in that Ten Hag wanted. Todibo would have been brought 3 weeks ago. Amrabat would have been brought 3 weeks ago. And if that was the case, I believe we would have got 3 points versus Arsenal if we had Amrabat and Todibo in the team. Genuinely believe we would have got 3 points versus Arsenal. That's the situation that's ongoing. This is on the owners. This is on the people at United. That's what it's on. The owners do not back Ten Hag. They neglect Ten Hag's needs. The poor treatment of this club by the owners is why this club is rotten to its core. It's why Manchester United is a circus. It's on the ownership. They have no respect for this club. They treat it completely poor. They have no respect for the managers. If we were a proper club, we wouldn't be going into the final day of the transfer window scrambling for Amrabat on loan, who's been the main target for ages. If we were a proper club, if we were a proper run club, we wouldn't be going into that Arsenal game with a Johnny Evans Maguire centre-back pairing. Do you think Man City would ever let Pep Guardiola go away to the Emirates playing Maguire and Johnny Evans? Absolutely not. Do you think Man City would ever let Pep go away to the Emirates with Dan Gore and Hannibal Mejbri on his bench as his only midfield options? Absolutely not. I mean, if you look at Man City's options in defence, Ake, Akanji, I think Laporte's gone now, Ake, Akanji, Diaz, Stones, Guardiola. Ake, Akanji, Diaz, Stones, Guardiola. All 5 of Man City centre-backs would be in Man United's best starting 11. All 5 of them would make it into our starting 11. All 5 of them would have played today. 5 centre-backs. We have Varane, who's injury-prone, Martinez, who's injury-prone, Lindelof, Maguire and Evans, who are not good enough. 3 are not good enough, 2 are injury-prone at Manchester United. And if we want to be at the top, if we want to win trophies, if we want to compete with the very best at the top of Manchester United, well, that is what we need. That is what we need, that Guardiola, Stones, Akanji depth. That will never happen under the Glazers because the Glazers don't think like Man City. They're not smart. You know, Man City saw that Fernandinho had 2 years left, so they brought in Rodri, and in the first year, Rodri was kind of playing as an understudy to Fernandinho. So by the time Fernandinho was finished, they had Rodri ready to replace. Man United wouldn't replace Matic until he was actually finished. Man United won't replace Casemiro until he's actually finished. Man United don't think about, oh, well, actually, Man United look at it and go, we've got 2 good centre-backs, we're fine. Man City are like, well, we need 4 or 5 good centre-backs. We need Rodri and Fernandinho. We've got Kovacic, but we need Nunes. We will never be a top club. We will never be a serious club. We will never be anywhere near Manchester City until these owners are gone because they don't think like a serious club. They don't run us like a serious club. Their lack of ambition is a disgrace as well. Thank you very much for the super chat, Jais. I'm so sick of VAR. The game is dead. It was never meant to be played in slow-mo. The disallowed goals is proof that VAR's ruined the game. I have to say VAR, and smash the like button if you agreed. VAR massively ruined the game today. 100%. And I'm sorry, you know, the game's not played in pictures. I'm sorry. I've said this, even when things go against United. I've always said this. If you've watched my channel, you'll know I've said this for a while. It doesn't matter if decisions go for, it doesn't matter if decisions go against United. I've said this for ages. If you cannot tell if a player's offside by the naked eye and you have to get all those lines out, give the attacker the benefit of the doubt. They're not robots. Even when decisions have gone against United and it's been called off onside and they have these 2 lines out and the lines are very tight and all of that stuff, I always say this. I say you have to give the benefit of the doubt. You have to give the benefit of the doubt to the attacker. If it works for United, if it doesn't work for United, I always say give the benefit of the doubt to the attacker because they're not robots. And I think VAR ruined the game today because Garnacho scored a brilliant 2-1 winner. And it was a brilliant taken goal and it's a brilliant bit of play and it was lovely stuff from Garnacho. And unfortunately, we got to celebrate, we got all excited and it got ruled up as well. You know, and look, you know, it's so frustrating because I actually think we did enough to win today. Ed Woodward has blood on his hands for giving players like Sancho 350k a week and players like Maguire 200k a week. Manchester United's multiple problems are caused by Ed Woodward giving players so much money that it's hard to sell them and keeping players at the club as well. And I think there's a point. All the problems at Man United are still coming from that Ed Woodward era. The ridiculous wages that Sancho's on is one of the reasons Ten Hag wants him gone. Maguire didn't leave because he didn't want to lose his wages. All the players that Ten Hag wants gone that didn't go, it's all about money. Either that we couldn't sell them because we give them stupid wages, or that if we sold them, the Glazers wouldn't get a replacement in. The Glazers are basically causing issues. And some people are saying Ten Hag's a liar, Ten Hag's a liar. But at the same time, what would Ten Hag gain from lying about Sancho? I'm not taking Ten Hag's side, I'm not taking Sancho's side, but Sancho has a reputation for not being good in training. And, you know, I don't think Sancho's been treated 100% fair by Ten Hag, but everyone, like, why would Ten Hag lie about that? You know, why would Ten Hag lie about that? Why would Ten Hag, because Ten Hag told the truth about Rashford and Garnacho. Ten Hag literally came out and told the truth and said, yeah, you know, Rashford's not playing a lot because Rashford's not playing today because he was late. Garnacho's not playing today because he's late. Ten Hag told the truth about those two players. So why would Ten Hag come out and lie about Sancho? You know, that's what I don't get as well. We literally tried to sell Maguire all summer. He wanted 10 million to leave. The Glazers wouldn't pay that. How's that Erik Ten Hag's problem as well? Says 20 Ollie legend. Exactly. People saying sack the board. I mean, the owners need to go. The most important thing that can happen at this club is the owners going. The owners need to go as well. Alice spot on, better game when coin tosses go scoring. And we all want the Glazers out, but let the players take responsibility for once. Erik Ten Hag's had enough, 400 million. So every time a player has a bad game, we should go buy another one. Well, no, that's not what I mean. The players need to do better. Sancho wasn't a Ten Hag player, but you know, the board are an absolute disgrace. The board haven't backed us. We should have had Amrabat and we should have signed Tolibo weeks ago, and they should have brought Ten Hag another attacker in. They didn't as well. I think the attitude of the players at United is not good enough. I don't think this thing should be public, but I think everything's a big mess at United as well. You know, someone says Sancho doesn't deserve to be let go for standing up for himself. If Ten Hag has lied and Sancho stood up for himself, then absolutely. But it's just, we just don't know the truth. I'm not taking sides here. I'm not Ten Hag out and I like Sancho. I'm not taking sides, but unfortunately everyone will take sides and it's become this big divide. And look, this shouldn't have gone out public. And it's only at Manchester United where this kind of drama arises and this stuff seems to come out public. This stuff shouldn't be public knowledge. This stuff shouldn't be coming out publicly. Sancho shouldn't be putting that statement out. Because if Sancho doesn't put that statement out, you can have a private phone call with Ten Hag. You can tell Ten Hag he's annoyed and all of that as well. You know, but now it's... Yeah. Do you know what's mad? Is I want to show you something quickly. I want to show you something. Because I think there's some problems going on at United, but Garnacho's brother tweeted this out. If you all knew the things I knew, you would understand more about who starts and who does not. And then the funny thing about this was that Garnacho's brother tweeted this because people were calling for Sancho to start ahead of his brother as well. So it's a bit ironic, but there's clearly some dressing issue going on as well. Ten Hag renewed Rashford, Delo and Shaw's contract. He made Bruno captain, so we can regard all those players his, says Manchester United club. But he didn't sign them. He likes those players, yes. But the truth is, Ten Hag didn't want McTominay here. He didn't want Maguire here, and he didn't want Sancho here. If Ten Hag had his way, and if Man United were in a position where we didn't give players ridiculous wages, Maguire would have been gone, and Kim and Jay would have been here. Okay, McTominay would have been gone, and we probably would have signed another midfielder. Don't know who that would have been. Would it have been Onana? Would it have been João Neves? Would it have been Amrabat earlier? And Sancho would have gone and we would have brought an attacker. If Ten Hag was fully backed by the board, Sancho would have been sold, a new attacker would have come in that could play across the front three. Amrabat would have come in earlier. McTominay would have been sold, and a physical midfielder like Gravenberch or Onana would have come in. And of course, would have come in. Kim and Jay would have come in for Maguire early in the window if Ten Hag had his way. Ten Hag was not backed by the board this summer. And, you know, this has just caused more problems because Sancho thought he was going to move to Chelsea. There was generally reports and news. Chelsea were tapping up Sancho those final weeks of the transfer window. Sancho had a feeling he was going to move to Chelsea. That's what I think's happened. That's what I think's caused problems. Is Sancho was thinking, I'm going to move to Chelsea. He's been tapped up by Chelsea at the end of the transfer window, getting all excited about a potential Chelsea move, maybe not trying in training, and then Ten Hag drops him. Because he's not doing enough in training because Sancho's head's maybe somewhere else. Maybe Sancho thought he was getting a move. And then Sancho's called Ten Hag a liar, and it's all a big mess. And now, because Sancho's publicly called out Ten Hag, I don't think we'll see Sancho play for United for a long time as well. I really don't as well. You know, Maguire might not be good, but he's never called out the manager. Look, McTominay may not be wanted, but he's not called out the manager. When you call out the manager, we saw what happened with Ronaldo. I have a feeling that's probably going to happen for Sancho as well. We didn't need this today. Player before club and manager again. I don't agree, says Val. Yeah, we didn't need this today. This drama is so unnecessary. Man United is becoming drama FC. Man United is becoming chaos FC, and it's just so unnecessary at the moment. So much unnecessary drama. You know, it's just like I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to deal with it. It's just a big mess at United, and it feels completely and utterly unnecessary. All this drama, all this situation ongoing. I'm 100% with you. It's just like it's the international break. We've lost at Arsenal. We've got an injury crisis, and everything's so negative. Everything. This season, we're 4 games into the season, and it feels like that season we had under Ollie, under Ragnick, where everything was going wrong, everything was going bad. It just feels like that again. And I'm like, we're 4 games into the season. Why is everything so negative? Why is everything so down at the moment? And it's just like, well, we've lost 2 of the 4 games of the season, and it's all the Glazers, it's all the circus, it's all down to how badly this club is run. That's what it's all down to, because when you think about it and when you look at it, you know, signed Amra, if we'd have signed Amrabat weeks ago, if we'd have sold the players Ten Hag wanted sold, if we'd have signed Todibo, we'd be feeling much better. But all this negativity is spiraled from the fact that they handled the Greenwood situation awfully. The takeover still isn't resolved. Erik Ten Hag's not been backed. We had a great season last season, and the Glazers refused to spend and build on that. We've lost a few games of the season. We look poor. We're signing the wrong kind of players. We're not signing the right players. Man United need a complete overhaul, and the only way they get a complete overhaul is new owners. And the thing is, there is someone who wants to be new owners of United called Qatar. Qatari can potentially come in. They can get a director of football in who can rebuild the club. We get rid of all we get rid of all the bad players. We bring in some good players. We back the manager. For me, what Manchester United need is a complete overhaul. They need a complete new owners, because the club is rotten to its core. The club at Manchester United is completely and utterly rotten to its core, and this has been caused by the Glazers. Every single problem has been caused by the Glazers neglecting the club, neglecting the manager, neglecting the footballing staff. The club is rotten to its core, and those Glazers, they need to go. Smash the like button, guys, if your Glazers out, because they need to go as well. Absolutely need to go as well. If we'd had a director of football, we'd probably be signing much better players than we've signed. 100%. They need to go as well. The organisation's in crisis. For me, the only thing that can come out of this Sancho situation is maybe this is the nail in the coffin to convince the Glazers to sell. Maybe all the negativity, all the toxicity around the club, maybe the Glazers maybe we need to hurry up and sell. We'll see if we've got any more news coming out on this situation as well. Obviously, Alex Ferguson said the minute that a Manchester United player thought he was bigger than the manager, he had to go. And this is why I think it's the end of Sancho. This is why I think it's the end of Sancho as well. Get rid of the Glazers. Smash the like button if you want the Glazers out. David says, Hojlund was magic today. Don't breathe the negative. Yeah. The thing is, unfortunately, no one's really going to be talking about how good Hojlund was today. And no one's going to be talking about, oh, you know what, Hojlund had a good game. Hojlund was really impressive. Hojlund this, Hojlund that. Unfortunately, we're not really going to be talking about Hojlund's performance and all the positivity surrounding Hojlund's performance, saying, oh, you know what, this was a good game, this was a good game, that was a good game. Because you know what? It's just like, actually, it's just a big mess. Because the Sancho situation, the loss, the VAR, the negativity, the Ten Hag out is completely overshadowed what was a really good performance by Rasmus Hojlund as well. The board is corrupt. Art says the season is over now. Glazers won't sell. The club squad is under par. Unity is broken. Erik Ten Hag can't control his player. The club make a wrong move in every turn. And it's just all negative again at United as well. Erik Ten Hag should have just said Sancho had a knock in training. Media call out is asking for trouble. I do agree with JT here as well. And yeah. And will you talk a bit more about Hojlund? I thought he was fantastic. I thought he showed more than Martial. I thought Hojlund came on with great energy. I thought he was brilliant. And you could see in 30 minutes what he's going to add, his physicality, his glimpses, his hungerness to just do those small things as well. The club is done with the Glazers. Even the staff want the Glazers out. The Glazers, they cannot stay here any longer. The club is absolutely rotten to the core. For me, there's just no way the Glazers can surely stay here any longer as well. Alex Core says, who's buying these players? And the problem is, we got an offer from McTominay. He didn't want to go to Fulham. We got an offer from Maguire. He didn't want to go to West Ham. We got an offer for Donny van de Beek. He didn't want to go to RC Lorient. And Chelsea were in talks with Sancho, but they didn't go for him in the end. 3 of our 4 players that Ten Hag wanted sold got offers and they refused to leave because we give them ridiculous wages. So they're like, why can we leave? David said after the international break, it's going to be Casemiro, Amrabat, Rashford, Mount, Bruno and Hojlund. It's going to be fire and it's going to be Champions League football, baby. Hopefully, I like the positivity from David, but just the injury crisis at the moment is not helping as well. Qatar needs to put a bid in and get the deal done 100%. I just need Qatari to come in with a bid. Sancho is done at Manchester United as well. Yeah, I think Sancho was done as well. And today, Sancho doesn't play, you lose 3-1. Whose fault is that? I blame Ten Hag. How can you blame Ten Hag for playing Maguire and Evans when we don't have another centre-back? The reason we have Maguire and Evans is not on Ten Hag, it's on the Glazers. Ten Hag wanted Maguire gone and Kim and Jay, and Ten Hag demanded Todibo. We lost because of Maguire and Evans, because the board wouldn't give Ten Hag Todibo or Kim and Jay, who he went to them and demanded. That is not Ten Hag's fault. You can't blame Ten Hag for that. Do you think Sancho would have scored a goal today? I doubt it. I thought Anthony was good today as well. But yeah, people are saying Rice in the chat. You know what? I think it would have been soft to rule out that Rice goal, but it's just so frustrating as well. If Ronaldo can be kicked out of our club, then yes, Sancho will as well. If he kicks Ronaldo out, for me, I don't think Sancho calls a chance. If Sancho has publicly called Erik Ten Hag a lie, he's basically pulling a Piers Morgan La Ronaldo. It looks like he's trying to get himself kicked out. Erik Ten Hag's comments match Sancho's performance. And the thing is, as well, I get Sancho's frustrated and he has the right to defend himself and all of that, but actually, what does Sancho gain? What's Sancho thinking? Like, realistically, what is Sancho thinking right now calling Erik Ten Hag out? Because he saw what happened with Ronaldo. He saw how Ten Hag dealt with that Ronaldo situation. So when I'm looking at the situation, I am sitting here and I am thinking, but why are you calling Ten Hag out? You know, why are you calling Ten Hag out publicly when you know what happened to Ronaldo? For me, part of me thinks, you know what? This is a bit silly from Sancho. Part of me really thinks, you know what? This is a bit silly from Sancho. Don't know why Sancho's doing that as well. Alice, support Liverpool and end your misery, says Beneath. Thanks for the super chat, but never a chance. And anyway, yes, Liverpool won 3-0, but I reckon, you know what? I think United will finish above Liverpool this season. I don't know what's going to happen as well. Stop wasting your time blaming Ten Hag and be blaming the Glazers. Yeah. I don't get people who are coming out saying, oh, Ten Hag out, Ten Hag out, Ten Hag out. I don't get these people. I don't get why people are Ten Hag out all of a sudden. Why are we focusing energy on Ten Hag out when this whole problem is caused by the Glazers? The focus should be on the fact that the Glazers shouldn't be at Man United. We should all be Glazers out, not Ten Hag out. None of us should be, you know, I mean, we have the right to have an opinion and be critical of Ten Hag, but instead of being, Ten Hag out, it is the Glazers that are the problem as well. Bruno Fernandes was rubbish today. Yeah, Bruno Fernandes didn't have a good game as well. Sancho up to today played better than Anthony. I thought Anthony had a good game today as well. I really thought Anthony had a good game. And Sancho's another flop. He should be sold, says Rec. Arsenal robbed us. People saying Anthony nonsense performance, but Anthony works for the team. The reason that Ten Hag prefers Anthony to Sancho is because Anthony works hard for the team. He does stuff for the team. That's why there's a preference for Anthony over Sancho, because he works for the team as well. Ten Hag dealt with Ronaldo by allowing him to leave after the club strung him along for a year. He wasn't in control of anything there. The thing is as well, it's not on Ten Hag. Ten Hag was open to letting Ronaldo leave in summer. The board said no because they couldn't get a replacement in, and that's why Ronaldo didn't leave in the summer, because the board were like, no, we can't get a replacement in. Ronaldo can't leave. So Ronaldo stayed. Ronaldo didn't want to be here. Ten Hag didn't use Ronaldo. It caused problems. Ten Hag wanted Sancho to go, but that whole situation happened as well. You know, Ten Hag literally wanted Sancho to go, but the board said no. Every time there's a player problem, it's because Ten Hag doesn't want the player, but the board don't care that Ten Hag doesn't want the player, and that a big problem is caused out of it. Every time there's a problem, that is why. Ten Hag doesn't want a player, the board don't care. You know, you're having him, whatever. The player's unhappy that he's here because he's staying and he's not getting treated right by Ten Hag because Ten Hag's not playing him and Ten Hag doesn't want him. It causes a big problem. Every single time, that's what seems to happen at Manchester United. Every single time, people as well. Anthony's been playing because Ten Hag brought him to the club, and Anthony's also been playing because Ten Hag believes he works harder than Sancho. He's got a better work rate. He does more than Sancho as well. Manuel said our club is a drama thriller movie every week. It just feels like a drama. It's drama FC at United. It's incredibly infuriating as well. What has Sancho done for the club? Bar 6 or 7 good performances. We've given him a lot of leniency, says Mark. And I think Mark makes a point here. And I like Sancho. I don't want to hate on him, but it's not that Sancho's been absolutely unreal. So it's outrageous that Anthony's playing over him. Anthony's been poor, and Anthony deserves to be dropped. But it's not like Sancho has been so good that it makes no sense why Sancho isn't getting these minutes as well. Yeah. Any of you guys that blame Ten Hag are part of the Player FC issue. We shouldn't be Player FC. We shouldn't be against the manager. We should be united against the owners as well. 100% agree with you on that as well. And do you think someone in the coaching staff has told Rashi that he has commit to defending? Rashford needs to work better on tracking back, doesn't he? As well. And sell Sancho, Martial, Maguire, Scott, and replace them. That's the problem solved. Exactly. That is the problem solved. And that's what Man City would do. And that's what Newcastle would do. And that's what Chelsea would do. And that's what everyone else would do. But unfortunately, that's not what United would do. The problem is solved by, yeah, you know what? These players aren't good enough. Sell these players and replace them. Sell these players and replace them. That's what you need to do, Manchester United. You know? Sell these players and replace them. Ten Hag wants them out. But United won't do that because that requires spending money and the Glazers won't spend money. If we had proper owners, we were a proper club, we'd never be in this situation in the first place because these players would be sold and Ten Hag would get replacements in that he wants. It's a complete and utter disgrace, an absolute disgrace as well. I just can't, I hate how bad this club is run. I really do as well. People saying seeing how good Maddison is makes me annoyed. We got Mount. And then Phoebe says seeing how Maddison has been dropping deep for Spurs makes me jealous. Maddison has been so good for Spurs. I'm completely and utterly jealous by the Maddison signing as well. But yeah, look, I'm going to end the live stream here. It's been a good live stream talking to you guys. There will be a video out in the morning of 5 things we learned. So please do smash that like button if you have not already. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Share the video. Thanks everyone tuning into today's live stream. I will be back live tomorrow at 6:30 UK time. See you then. Thank you for watching. And we've got a super chat. Don't want to miss that. All of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signings have given Ten Hag problems. Sell them now. Other than Bruno, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely spot on as well. Sorry, I almost missed the super chat as well. But yes, big up everybody in the chat. Thank you for watching. See you next time and bye.